Greetings, everyone. If you celebrate Christmas wherever you are and whoever you are, then Merry Christmas Eve to you. If you are alone and on your own, please know that I'm here with you. I'm holding your hand. I'm by your side. The medicine of connection is one of the most powerful. Connection, mind, body, our sustenance, our nourishment, our food, our drink, connecting with nature, the air, the water. Having that sustainability is having peace of mind. And having peace of mind is what's going to take us up and out of predatory dominance and domestication. I've been speaking about these subjects for a great many decades now, and that's because I was very much fortunate to have had a maternal grandmother who'd also lost her firstborn son, meaning that he left Earth. He transitioned in the sense that he left his physical body back into spirit. And if you've been watching any of my videos, especially the ones in the last few days, you'll know that even when I lost my keys, as I was explaining to the grief counselor today, I was sharing with Peggy that, I had lost the keys. I'd gone on about a 35-minute walk. I looked down and my fingers were really red. And I thought, my God, I started to panic thinking about the expense of the keys and everything else and the time that was going to need to be spent to replace the keys and how long was it going to be before I and the dogs got back into the building. It was going to really throw a wrench, the proverbial wrench, into our lives and our plans. And so close to the holidays, it's not a time people want to start dealing with all these problems. But when your energy is unstable, more accidents and problems happen that otherwise would not have happened. So sometimes we're looking at other people, we're observing, moreover, we're listening, and we're thinking, gosh, they've got a lot of problems going on. Well, I'm here to tell you that if the system were not so predatory, with the drugging and cutting and taxation and cost of living and credit score and get your degree and get your credential and then pay for it the rest of your life. And there's interest on that. And I went to go change my driver's license in Minnesota. That's still good till 2028, I believe. Wait a minute. No, it wouldn't be 2028. A couple more years anyway. And I couldn't believe it. I expressed my dissatisfaction about it with the lady at the counter. And I said, so I got to pay $34 just to change my address and get a little plastic card in the mail. You're going to use the same picture even. But it is what it is. And I said, the ding, 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 ding is kind of, it's taxation. So that's why I was going to call this video, with the title that had to do with your energy. And I'm going to bring the video over, but I'm going to show you that Pablo's on the top of the couch. Where is he? Right there. And he's got his little Christmas jacket on, or it's not really even just a Christmas jacket, but it's red and black, and it has the colors that are kind of more central to this time of year. If you look up over here, you'll see that my windows were blasted with snow. We had a huge, huge blizzard last night, and it was really nice to be inside and cozy, right, Pab? You say hello? You were inside too, and it's like, get the dumb jacket off of me, please. So we'll come over here, and I've got the cozy oil lamp going and the candle, and maybe I won't. I forgot about the light. Let me adjust the light really quickly. Just a moment. Okay. Let me move this back just a little. That might make it better. Let's see. Okay. Oops, now the whole thing falls over. So you can tell that I'm not a fully monetized or monetized at all, paid for YouTuber, but I'm someone that has been teaching for a very long time, and there are many things that I would love to be able to share with you. I'm going to sip on some peppermint bark tea that I've got in this big mug here. And I got this mug because, not that I usually like plastic mugs, but it reminds me that my son was at the Center for Alcohol and Drug Treatment. And so when I went 2 months after he passed, transitioned, they were giving away the mugs. And I thought, well, yeah, might as well. On the thumbnail for this YouTube, what you're going to see if you're not familiar with it is you're going to see a picture of the human body emitting energy. For a long time, when people mention the word energy, excuse me one sec. If you go to Cub Foods or any of your grocery stores, it's probably one of the more junky things that I have, but it's Bigelow's brand, which has been around forever. And all of their different seasonal tea bags are 2 for $5. And this one is the Peppermint Bark. It's really, really, really good. It's got a hint of chocolate and peppermint, which is unnatural. I know Dr. Sabi says that, but it just gives me that, that kind of holiday feeling. It's really, really super tasty with just water and a little bit of honey. I think you'll really enjoy it. It feels like a wonderful, strong, dark tea for the morning time. And it also feels like a dessert tea. So the body emits this energy, and you can actually see the energy through a type of photography known as Kirlian, Kirlian photography. There's also UV photography and all different sorts of photography. But this one, so if I was holding a fruit, and you had a picture of it done with Kirlian photography, you would actually see with this energy photography, you would see the energy coming off of the fruit. So as an energy being, gravity is used to hold you down on the planet, right? We call it a planet, whether you think of it as a sphere or a flat earth or an elliptical earth or an egg-shaped earth or whatever you think of, that's okay, right? We all get to think about whatever we want to think about. The gravity holds you down. Think of yourself as a skin bag full of water, largely water. If you're 60, 70, 80, 82% water, it's largely water. The gravity is holding you down, and you've got these trace elements that float around in the body, the brain, and then they start to form. Sometimes they start to accrue in the liver, the brain, the bones, and they start to kind of get, in excess in various places of the body. And what a lot of people have mentioned, you might have even heard it in the movie The Matrix, was when they called the humans copper tops. There's a really, really good reason for that I've gone very, very, very far into exploring what that actually means, which is way too much for a live stream. But it was extremely eye-opening, and I actually cried. So, again and again and again, I say that copper is much like the coil of the cars of yesterday, the 70s and the 80s cars, even before they became really largely computerized engines. And the copper is one of these highly, highly conductive, highly emotional, strongly related to your estrogen and your neurotransmitters, and it's very, very, very important. Most people are copper toxic. Some people are copper deficient. Copper deficient people, when a hair tissue test you, are going to have depression, fatigue. They're going to feel tired. They're not going to have enough energy. And that is because, here's another hot tip that's a big nugget in this one, is because of the siphon, S-I-P-H-O-N. Your energy is being siphoned off, and even though you don't see someone come over and plug a cord into you, it's being siphoned off in ways that you've actually normalized. You've normalized them as, I need to go to the doctor, I just don't feel quite right, and I need to lay down and take a little bit more rest. And you normalize them in ways that, there are more than those, that people don't really fully understand. All of us together generate the wattage for the ability of this entire plane to be able to run and balance itself. So if you don't have enough energy for your own cells and your own self, greetings and thank you for joining me. If you don't have enough energy for your own self, then you will look to find a way to gain energy for your cells, for yourself. And you'll do that by looking at the products that are stationed on the plantation that are food drugs. And all of these food drugs, 90 or 95% of everything found in the grocery stores, including the natural food stores. You got to remember that the produce section is a very small section compared to the boxes, bags, cans, bottles, frozen things in boxes, the deli with all the prepared foods and the sugary stuff and the eye appealing, the dopamine hits. So these products that are sold to you are always going to be stimulating or sedating. If you're lacking energy, you're going to be looking for something stimulating. If you feel like you're just too wound up and you can't really get your energy to sit down and help you, you're going to be looking for something very sedating, right? Get out of the view of the light there. You're going to be looking for something sedating. So this is why we have so many coffee shops and liquor/spirit stores, alcohol stores, is because people are constantly looking to level up or level down. And they're looking to level up or level down because the plantation has taught them, and they have watched mommies and daddies. If you're children, you call them mommy and daddy. They have watched mommy and daddy as a child level up and level down. Now, similarly, the trace elements in your body are either stimulating or sedating. So if those are not really in a nice balance, and we call that a pattern, the pattern of your overall pattern of your trace elements, you're not going to be feeling very well. You're going to be feeling really tired. You're going to be feeling moody. And you're going to run to the store and you're going to get, one of those two sides. You're going to get the stimulating or the sedating foods. And if they even just put them in a wrapper and said uppers and downers, they still would be selling today, but they don't. They call them brownies and cakes and honey buns and beef sticks. They call them proteins and calciums, and they call them all these different things. But what it is really is programming, and the programming has put you into a bind because the plantation is, in fact, siphoning your energy. And since you don't have enough, starting from the time that you're a baby, if, like the majority of people, you are born in a medicalized birthing situation in a hospital, then you're going to not even receive your full maternal cord blood transfer. Through cord clamping, oftentimes, baby, most of the time, does not receive the full blood volume. There's a phobia that feels like a phobia, but it's actually a dismissal. Just like we tried to say, the formula is much more superior than breast milk. Well, there's the similar dismissal with the placenta. And the placenta is vital that the woman births the placenta and that the full maternal blood volume is delivered to the infant so the infant can start with its full supply of blood and hemoglobin. When you have your full supply of hemoglobin, you're able to orient yourself more quickly. And it's for this reason that when my son Zawa was born, 8 pounds even, with a 9.9 APGAR, very healthy, he was able to actually hold his head up right after he came out of the birth canal on a vaginal birth. So when we steal stem cells from infants, and they're later having been sold and preserved and sold to others who are using them. It's really not a good practice, and it's not sustainable for our people. What I have seen in my own observations, not reading this anywhere else, is that thereby weakening our people, our world family becomes much more complacent and willing to be led by a parent style government that eventually is going to make decisions for you because you don't have the energy. And I hear this in the words from a great many people who say, I'm going to research it. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. And I go, well, you just kind of haven't gotten around to it yet. And now you have a 3-year-old daughter, and you're going to need to do that research before you go back to that well baby visit or that well toddler visit, that well child visit, because of what's going to end up happening and the price you're going to end up paying. So the purpose of these videos is to be here with you, to hold your hand, to inform you, to bring you real medicine on the eve when many people are going to be alone and feeling really down, that it's the holidays. And I know for myself, I grew up from ages 0 to 18 being at home, and it was 2 grandmothers, aunts and uncles, and lots of cousins coming over, neighborhood children across the street on Searcy Drive in San Jose. And you just think that's the way it's always going to be. There's always going to be big get-togethers, but I can assure you, and you likely know, that that's not the case, or that many people in our families are, becoming increasingly dysfunctional. When I go to the Department of Vehicle Services to register a vehicle that I just bought, and I see that there's a new Essentia Health Center at the Duluth Miller Hill Mall. And so I imagine this is the same thing where you live and all over. It used to be you went to go shopping and get your clothing and maybe get, your personal hygiene supplies and maybe get your Christmas gifts and things like that, because malls, came about during my age, my time. There weren't malls, and then they had shopping malls, and, now it's, digital age and get your stuff on the internet kind of a thing in large part. But you're being encouraged to be phobic of one another, to be scared if someone's to slightly cough or clear their throat. I saw something something small the other night about Biden and, him having a cough, and then Fauci saying something about, well, in the best interest, you probably should get the COVID vaccine, right? So what are we doing to really protect each other? The thing we really need to protect each other is the title of this video, which is to become, to have our energy again, to become educated, to become wise, to become connected, to learn to gather together even when through thyroid deficiency, which really, really zaps your energy. I know. That's why I was clearing my throat. I couldn't even do a YouTube without sucking on a lozenge. And it was very difficult to organize my brain with PTSD, with losing my child. It is brain. It is mind. I don't want to use a bad word sound here. Let's say it hurts the brain. I won't say mind blowing. It hurts the brain to wake up and say, wait a minute, this didn't really happen, did it? And you wake up. I finally slept on the floor again yesterday after sleeping elevated pretty much this whole time. At least for the last 6 months, I had to sleep really elevated with a pillow. And for years and years, I was sleeping on the floor with no pillow because it creates an unnatural arch on the neck. So now once you get dependent on that pillow, it's kind of like always looking down at your phone all the time like this, You start to create what a chiropractor calls kyphosis of the neck. You get an unnatural curve. And if you look at the projections of what human beings may actually look like by the year 2040. You can Google that into your search engine. What will humans look like in 2040? They've got a very kyphotic neck and a very large forehead, and they're starting to look like they're going backwards and they're de-evolving, they're going back into the Neanderthal look. That's the projection. I know in my heart, I know in my wisdom, I know in my grief and my loneliness at times, I know in my fullness and my joy. I know my son is with me every single day. It's not like, well, I know he's with me, No. I hear him. He's like an onboard OnStar in my head, around me. I hear him. Legit, 100% legit. I put that on everything. He's opened doors. He's found my keys. Just today, when I rose this rise, early in the AM, I thought, I really want some of that 100% pure orange juice. I'm just craving it. But I'm banned from Whole Foods. How am I going to go over there and get that really good orange juice? And as I went to go to the appointment with the grief counselor today, who I dearly love, I was really looking forward to it. I stopped over at Starbucks and I got an oat milk drink like I like to get. And there was this young man who I see quite frequently. And I said, come on in, let's, he likes to get a coffee, and he's standing out. It was freezing after the blizzard last night. It was icy, it was slippery. It was like, don't get in the car if you really don't have to. But I was looking forward to going and seeing Peggy. And so I went into Starbucks and I had about half an hour. I was a little bit early because I thought, man, I don't know how long it's going to take to warm up my car. It showed it was 1 degree and my car was like, where it's just struggling because it's so cold. So it was hat, layers. You can see I'm all layered up here. And then I also put on my Moldavite, which I bought many, many years ago when I had gynecological, female-ish sexual organ issues. And I used to bleed really, really heavy. And I got this pendant piece, which I just put on a cord. On the very top here, you can see it's Moldavite. And Moldavite, real good stones of Moldavite, which this is, are going to have a clear piece on the back so that when it's against your skin, you're going to get the medicine from the Moldavite. These are all real stones. I forget, I think I paid like $40 for it many years ago. And so I thought, I'm wearing an outfit that's got, greens and all that on it. So, boy, when I'm sitting down, it made my thighs look huge. My goodness. Oh, well, it is what it is. So the Moldavite is against my skin. And the medicine of Moldavite is, I just felt like, it became so cold and the holidays are here and I don't want to slip into bitterness, toxic grief, expectations. I don't want to slip into that. And I don't want you to do that either. I know that a lot of our family members and our friends are not operating on a very high level. I know that. I know that it's not fair what a lot of people are going through, and you could probably look at me and say, well, hey, you seem pretty entitled. You've got your own apartment and dogs and you got things set up. But I don't ever take that for granted. I don't. And I bust my ass, frankly, to make sure that they're fed, that they have filtered water. I bust my ass and I take really, really good care of people with their hair tissue test, with informing them what they need to do. I can't help the clients who will not listen, who are stubborn, who try to do it their way. Those are the clients that I probably don't want to work with and I probably shouldn't work with. I want to work with, and what supports me is bringing people very viable truth. If your copper levels are going to be very, very high, and I will tell you if they're very, very high on your patient report, you're going to be dealing with ADHD type behavior, very disorganized. It is what Dr. Malta refers to as a pseudo-bipolar. And people are going to say, I don't know, she's just kind of crazy. She's just kind of really out there. She can't really get very grounded. That's what it's going to do to you. And I'm telling you that not only do they try to say no, that's absolutely ludicrous. It has nothing to do with high copper. The hell it doesn't. I know I lived it. I lived it because my entire mouth was full of silver mercury amalgams. Each tooth was drilled down, way down. And the copper that was inside of those mercury fillings and all of that mercury made it so that my own family was like, she's crazy. She's just crazy. It made it so I was much more likely to need treatment through bogus gynecology. It made it so I was going to be funneled into the mental health system. It made it so that my moods were much more difficult to remain stable. So it made it more difficult for me to put all my wisdom. I could have a brilliant genius level IQ, but if I couldn't organize my thoughts, if I couldn't redirect myself out of procrastination, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it later. I'm just going to do this right now. I'm going to eat something else right now. And I spent years and years of my life overeating and stuffing my pain and doing my best to calm my brain through food coma. That's the truth. I'm so thankful that food coma is very rare today at age 59. So I'm not a know-it-all. I'm not someone who thinks she knows it all. I'm someone who probably made more mistakes, probably, maybe not, than you did. I probably did. I mean, if you're 20 or 30, in all likelihood I did. If you're 59 like I am, well, maybe I did, maybe I didn't. I don't know. But I've made a lot, and I've made some very, very, very painful mistakes. I've made some bad decisions, and I think every one of us has. And I think that the matrix, the plantation, has it set up that way. So if we have more sick people, we build more and more hospitals, the pits where all the people go, the pit all. And if this is what we're going to continue to do, is to keep checking and treating and aggressively treating suspicious issues with our people, we're not going to get anywhere. Churches used to call the gatherings congregations. Congregations. We came together and we sang, we read, we studied, if the pastor would be reading a verse out of the Bible. I know many of you have seen the movie Avatar. And in that movie, you see the people come together with the female shaman, the elder of the group. And you see the people start to make the movement, because what they're doing is they're engineering energy coherence. So since you are tied with gravity, and you are largely a water bag, skin bag, largely water, and you are a copper top, like it was talked about in the Matrix, and you are comprised of these trace elements, but you never find this out at the doctor, do you? And since you are made to be busy with Hallmark, sending out those cards. Those cards are sweet. They're wonderful. They brighten everyone's life. It sure is nice to get something besides bill in the mail. But there's a lot of energy that could have been used elsewhere. It's the connection and the gathering that we're missing. And now, through this psychological operation, 100%, we're starting to see soldiered up militaristic style, punitive. Oh, well, we're going to make sure we know who's had it and who hasn't. Well, you know who's now participating by who's got a mask or a facial diapering or a facial identity concealment. But you don't often realize the end game goal, especially if you're younger. You may not, I'm not saying you will not, but you may not realize the end game goal. And in so doing, you're not recognizing it and you're participating and you're enforcing and you're continuing to be legalistic. You know what really bugs me? You want to hear legalistic? I'm legalistic. I've got some problems being legalistic. I pull into a parking spot somewhere and it just chafes my ass when someone parks outside of the line and now I can't use that parking spot and it's 2 degrees outside and I could have, but for their parking, I could have parked closer to the store and ran in and got my groceries when it was just absolutely way too cold and way too slippery in the parking lot. And I don't want to slip and fall in the parking lot, especially in the dark. So it chaps my ass when someone parks outside the lines and they take up, a second parking space, maybe without even knowing it, but they were just kind of, and that person may be also in grief and having a lot of feelings. And so I'm not just going to, hey, stupid, why'd you do that? I'm just going to, okay, Karen, take a deep breath, let it go. It's not a big deal. Okay. Are you struggling with anything tonight? Is there anything I could help you, Pablo and I could help you with as we, happy is beautiful. Okay. I bought that box to put some of my necessities in around my little office, which is sitting over on that table with the black velvet. I got a free glass tabletop on Facebook Marketplace, and I couldn't find legs for the table. It was really beautiful. In fact, I might just take the whole velvet thing off and just leave the glass. It's a frosted glass, which is beautiful. Heavy as heck. Took like 2 or 3 of us to put it in the back of my Subaru and then to get it out and haul it in here. I mean, it was a labor of love. But we ended up going to Menards and finding some sawhorses that were $30 a piece. I got 2 of those, and those are now the legs, which I guess I'll use the sawhorses later when I move to use them in the bus or use them in constructing a place on land, or I don't know, sell them, whatever. They'll find they're another useful thing that I'm not going to regret buying. Where is my tea? Taking a sip of my peppermint bark tea. Is there anything I can help you with before I go? Do you need love, blessings, a hand to hold on to? Do you need someone to cry with you? I'm here. Okay. I'm real. I cry. I will cry with you. When you lose a child, or when any of your friends lose a child from earth, don't leave them alone, because a lot of people don't make the association between foods and their moods. If you're going to eat a lot of starch stiffening foods, the grief is not going to be able to stay fluid and keep moving. It's alive inside of you. It's got to move. I think I know a little bit about that now. I'm at the next level. Beyond, hey, it's Christmas, and the innocence, the naivete. Many people are sitting in their homes tonight alone. Many people are sitting out on the streets. Many people are wondering what they did wrong to be ostracized. Many people are wondering, how come someone doesn't just come over or pick up the phone and call me and say, I just want to hear your voice, I love you. We're human beings, life force energy beings. We long to be free and creative. We have filled enormous gaps, painful gaps, pain and suffering. We have filled those with stuff, with food, and yet the powers that be, the matrix agents themselves, have filled the plantation with foods that will keep you hungry. It's a trick. It's part of the game. Like having you play Monopoly, Monopoly, having you play Operation so that you became very, well, we just take out bad body parts. Sometimes we have to, but 5% of the time compared to what we see today, compared to the status quo. Feeding dogs dog food, calling them pets. Are you a dog owner? No, I'm not. No, I don't own another being that's equal or more intelligent than I am. Well, then how come they can't go get jobs and do? Because they're not stupid. Because they don't operate in that system. They're just another level of domestication, not underneath you, not above you. They're actually equal to you. That's the truth. It really is the truth. They don't need to run around capitulating English language inside of their brain, inside of their skull. I want to thank Peggy for the beautiful bracelet and the Godiva chocolate bar, dark chocolate. It really brightened my day. Not that gifts have to be the only thing that brightens my day, but it was very thoughtful. I want to thank Rose and Pam for the beautiful cards. It's nice to open up something and have something on your table and say thank you for sending love. And yet I imagine a day where we're all together, where we're making use of what we have and where we're cleaning up this mess, where we're saying no, you cannot keep sickening our people as our innocent people come walking out of the healthcare centers with their fancy garages and their fancy buildings, with their children injected, medicated, and then we wonder, gosh, why so much autism? How come so many learning disabilities? How come the schools became enveloped with Title I students? How come so few GT gifted and talented? It has to do with three things: love and connection, diet and nourishment, safety and trust. Okay? If you cannot feel safe in your home, in your school, if you cannot feel nourished and your trace elements are greatly imbalanced, your gut is all over the place, and people think that a growling, they call it a growling gut, is a hungry gut. No, it's a gut that needs help. So you could do sessions with me, you could do consults with me. You could say, I've got anxiety, let's just be straightforward. Just tell me what to take for the anxiety. And I'd say, geez, this is kind of the type of client I don't work well with. I don't. Because if that's what you want, you should go back to Dr. Doolittle, and you should go take the drug. And if that drug doesn't work, come back and tell the doctor, and go take another drug. Because I want to listen to what's going on with your membrane. What's the mind body? What are these key words and key observations that I can make when you're through the screen? I'm not judging you. Are you kidding me? I'm the one that just got through telling you on multiple videos that I was pissing myself for over a year. That's embarrassing at 59 years old. I didn't have bladder incontinence. I had grief and inflammation so bad and thyroid deficiency so extreme. Your brain as a mother thinks, protect the child, protect the child. I did not protect my child. Obviously, he died. And somehow I've got to reason with that and not ingrain that mode of thinking. So anger comes up. Anger comes up with grief for that reason. Could we have stopped this? Did we slack too much? Did we start taking care of ourselves because we were so tired? I got to go home. I'm tired. When all the warning signs were there and I should have maybe spent the night in the driveway in the cold car. I'm going to stop blaming myself. My son has asked me to stop blaming myself. My grief counselor, Peggy, has said, your son came in and gave me a message. He said, my mom blames herself. I said, yeah, I do. And I started crying. I'm an open book, man. I know medicine inside and out. I really do. And it's not, hey, everyone go smoke some cannabis tonight and everyone's going to be just fine. Well, you might not. It might be really terrible for someone who's got a lot of PTSD, who starts having a lot of heart palpitations, goes into tachycardia and feels horrible because the hybridized strains of cannabis today are quite potent. The THC levels are quite a bit higher than they used to be. So especially if you gave this to someone who maybe hadn't smoked since the 80s or 90s, now they're going to, really have kind of a bummer of a time. I've got anxiety. What do I need to take? Just make it straightforward. It's not straightforward. Let me see your hair tissue test. Let me show you what I can show you from that. Let me hear you. Let me have 30, 45 minutes with you on the screen. And I've already clicked into gear with what's going on there, at least in part, so I can help you. And okay, all right. Let me hear about your diet during that session or another session. Let me hear about your diet. What are you taking? Are you on supplements, medications? How do you sleep at night? How do you poop? How do you pee? Do you sleep on a big Tempur-Pedic bed? Do you sleep out in the rainforest? Do you sleep in an apartment where you hear sirens all night long? Do you sit there on your cell phone all night long and look at a blue screen? All of these are factors that are going to aid me to help to bring the aid to you. The doctor of the future will not have to do some of the work that I do today because I'm undoing the mess that they've laid down. Once you've been injected with infectious products, unnatural products, aborted fetuses, formaldehyde, thimerosal, once you've been injected with infection, we've got to wonder what kind of packages of data have opened up inside of you and are now running like a computer. You know what? I live and breathe what I do. No joke. I live and breathe what I do. I am studying so many hours a day, finding one thread and then the next thread and the next thread. I'm making my food. Tonight, I looked in the refrigerator and I had just gone to the grocery store and loaded up on some delicious organic fruit, and I'm so thankful for it. I know I'm also pretty gosh darn entitled and privileged to be able to do that, to have a refrigerator, to have the ability to go get that fruit. I'm very thankful for that, and I'm going to keep working hard. And I'm going to keep working hard that every life force being, not just humans, the dogs, all of us, the birds are not going to have to be bombarded by all these electrical signals in the air. We don't have to have this kind of technology. This is not the only thing available to us. To be bombarded with low frequency and high frequency and short waves and long waves and, no. And I don't need your studies because I understand how studies work. I worked in law for almost 20 years. A lot of studies are bought and paid for. I was just speaking with, also I want to thank Val for sending me the music. I know you're here. I hope that it was eye-opening, that you learned that many of the groups, including Jim Morrison, were agents. That's a fact. Spewing lyrics that people would sing to themselves and lyrics that people would repeat for decades, including the Rolling Stones, right? Under my thumb, she's the sweetest pet in the world. Under my thumb. Go back and look at the lyrics again. These are agents. They've positioned lyrics and, moreover, beats that are traps, including today, walking down the street, taking the dogs out for a walk, and I hear da-dum, 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 and I'm thinking, it's like 8:30 in the frickin' morning, and you're in your vehicle smoking a cigarette, puffing on that thing, drinking a cup of coffee, so you got some caffeine going down the hatch, straight acid. It's like a whip, like Aries Latham. I want to thank you for this terminology. I want to attribute you for it. Aries Latham on Facebook. Check him out. He's amazing. Brother Aries. Longer years than me in the food. He's got the food. He's got the certification for the food. That's the food. Sun-fired food. Cooked by the sun. Absolutely. Beyond a doubt. Aries Latham. How, when his words, are you going to whip your adrenals with that coffee first thing in the morning with those beats going on that are entraining your heart into an extremely unnatural rhythm, and you're smoking a cigarette, and I'm out there with the dogs going, my gosh, what the hell? It ain't because I'm old. No, it isn't. It's not because I'm old. It's not because I'm old. It's not because I'm 59, because inside, I got an inner child inside of me. Every ounce of me is still homey, is still vibrant. But that is repulsive. It's repulsive. How do we educate to get off the matrix plantation? You got to exit from the mind first. The mind has to exit first. Okay? Now, I know we've been going here too long, and I know I see at least 5 people here right now. Is there anything that you want that I can help you with before I go? I looked in my refrigerator, as I started to say, see, I just get off track here sometimes. I looked in my refrigerator, and I had some green stick onions that really needed to be used. I didn't want to have them go to waste. I bought 3 hothouse tomatoes tonight, and one of them I felt was a little more ripe than the other 2. So, and I had 2 plantain banana, the bigger ones, that I had been ripening for the last 2 weeks, because I'm in Northeast Minnesota, so I ain't ripening on a tree. And I like to wait until they get black spotted or all the way black, one or the other. And when they get real black, I put them in the refrigerator and cut the top and the bottom off. And then I take a knife and I just, straight down the plantain and I peel it, because I've been doing that for a long time. So if it's in the refrigerator and it's well ripe, I can peel that plantain banana, no problem. I put some coconut oil in my saute pan. Same pans I've had for 27 years. I had them about 2 years before Zawa was born. Same ones. I got them at Costco out in Santa Cruz, California. Costco in San Jose, California. So I put the coconut oil in the pan. I brought it up to medium heat for just a moment. I sliced those plantain into little rounds, and I put the plantain, in the oil so they would start to brown on each side. You need to cook the plantain most of the time. You would want to cook the plantain. Then I took the green onions and I chopped them up real nice, and I put them in there, and they started to cook just a little bit. I turned the heat way down. And then I took that nice ripe tomato and I chopped it up and I put it in there. I took some pictures of it. I'm probably going to post it on Facebook. I had a container of leftover polenta from last night. If you don't know about polenta, it's freaking amazing. 1 cup of polenta, very inexpensive at the store. It is starch stiffening. You don't want to eat it all the time. 1 cup of polenta, all it is coarse ground cornmeal. So you want to get non-GMO because it's corn, okay? But oh my gosh, is it tasty. And if you're someone who's a vegan or close to being vegan, you know, you don't eat eggs anymore. I have not had eggs for 37 years. It almost gives you the taste when you cook it up and it's chunky of like scrambled eggs in the past when you put a little Celtic sea salt on it. It's almost like scrambled eggs again. It's kind of weird. I put my tub of, you know, what I had left over of the cold polenta in there, and I let the heat, you know, kind of bring it down, and I kind of took my bamboo spoon and kind of pushed it down a little bit and took a little Celtic sea salt and put it on the top, and interfusing the slightly sweet plantain banana, the tomatoes and the green onion and the polenta. Oh my gosh, it was so good. I like simple stuff like that. And I thought, I just bought a bunch of groceries and I want to use up what I need to use up in the order it's going to decay. That's what I'm going to do. Pablo, what you doing, buddy? Pablo, what you doing? You want to say hello? It's like, no, get out of my face. I don't want to be on YouTube. I'll help you. Do you need something? I'm here. I can help you. I can help answer a question. I know there's 5 people right now. So I'm going to go ahead and go. Looks like I put my lantern on kind of crooked, doesn't it? Looks like it's a little crooked. Maybe not. I don't know. I'm going to have to get online and see if I can find another wick because I'm seeing that, you know, it's not going to be out like in a day or two, but it's definitely we definitely burn through the wicks on those. So I wish you all a wonderful, wonderful Christmas Eve from my heart to yours. I know sometimes it's very hard for many of you. I know that it doesn't feel good to wish that we had things like they used to be. But we're going to need to connect, use our imagination, and strengthen back up. I tried to hide this one side of my hair in the hat because it's not quite dreaded like all of these are. All of these guys are dreaded. I'll show you here before I go. You're like, who cares? It's just your hair. But anyway, I love my little dreadies, and they're coming along. Oh boy, see? There's a lot more of them in the hat there. This one's kind of the funky shape. They're growing. My hair is growing very, very, very fast, which is another sign of health. My eyes are opening. My skin is changing. My tongue is changing. I can't tell you the number of times being an author of a thyroid book that people are on live streams or they're singing or they're doing, what are those, it's your story on Facebook. And they stick their tongue out or they're just talking in the normal course of talking. And I see their tongue and I'm like, whoa, they got a problem and they don't even know, you know? And it could be so easy to help them to fix that problem. I don't like to wear name brands. I really, really don't. But it's very difficult to find hats that actually just stay on with the dreadlocks. And this Carhartt, I mean, I suppose I could, no, this one doesn't really. I could do something and kind of, maybe not. Anyway, it is what it is. I try not to wear brands. I'm going to bring this back over here. I love you all dearly. I really, really want for us to have something better. And I'm going to keep getting on YouTube. I don't care if I just have 1 or 2 likes because it matters to me. It really matters to me. All right. You take good care. I love you very much. I know I'm not the prettiest right now, but I have a good heart. All right. I'll see you tomorrow.